The story begins in Manila, where we step through the grand gates of Intramuros, the old Spanish-walled city. Its stone walls seem to whisper tales of colonial rule, priests in black robes, and soldiers who once guarded the city centuries ago. As we walk along the narrow cobblestone streets, the air carries the weight of history. The mighty Fort Santiago rises before us, once a defense fortress against invaders, now standing as a silent reminder of battles, struggles, and sacrifices. Within these walls, national hero José Rizal spent his final days before his execution, leaving behind a legacy of courage and patriotism. Intramuros is more than a collection of ruins and old buildings, it is the soul of Manila, a living memory of the Philippines' past. The journey now takes us to San Agustin Church, one of the most treasured landmarks of the Philippines. Standing tall within Intramuros, this church is not only the oldest stone church in the country, built in 1607, but also one of the 4 Baroque churches of the Philippines recognized by UNESCO as World Heritage Sites. Its history is carved into its very walls, which have withstood wars, fires, and earthquakes that destroyed much of Manila. As you enter, the grand wooden doors open into a sanctuary filled with intricate details, beautiful hand-carved ceilings painted to look like three-dimensional stone, grand chandeliers that glow warmly, and a magnificent altar decorated with gold and fine woodwork. The side chapels hold centuries-old religious relics, artworks, and tombs of prominent historical figures, making the church not just a place of worship but also a museum of the nation's past. San Agustin represents more than just architecture, it is a symbol of the faith and resilience of the Filipino people. Despite the destruction of the Second World War, the church survived almost untouched, as if protected by the prayers of generations. Its structure reflects the blending of European influence with Filipino craftsmanship, showing how 2 cultures met and created something lasting. When you sit quietly inside, listening to the echoes of a choir or the soft toll of the bells, you feel a deep connection to the centuries of devotion that have taken place here. San Agustin Church is not just a building, it is a living monument of faith, endurance, and heritage. Our journey continues to Corregidor Island, a place often called the Gibraltar of the East. Located at the entrance of Manila Bay, this rocky island once served as a fortress that protected the Philippines during times of war. Walking through its ruins feels like stepping back into the days of World War II, when Filipino and American soldiers fought side by side against Japanese forces. The island is dotted with old barracks, crumbling buildings, rusted cannons, and long, dark tunnels that once provided shelter during heavy bombings. Each structure tells a story of courage, fear, and sacrifice, echoing with the voices of those who stood there. Ground despite overwhelming odds. One of the most famous spots is the Malinta Tunnel, an underground complex that served as a hospital, command center, and hiding place during the war. Its cold, damp walls remind visitors of the pain and endurance of the soldiers and civilians who lived there under constant threat. Corregidor is also home to memorials and shrines built to honor the fallen, ensuring their bravery is never forgotten. Today, Corregidor Island is not just a site of ruins, it is a sacred reminder of resilience. As you walk through the silent pathways, the wind carries with it stories of war, loss, and eventual freedom. The island stands as a symbol of unity between nations and the unbreakable spirit of the Filipino people, who fought with everything they had for the hope of a brighter future. Far away from the busy cities, our story takes us to the breathtaking mountains of Ifugao, where the Banaue Rice Terraces stretch across the slopes like giant stairways to the sky. Carved into the mountains more than 2,000 years ago by the indigenous Ifugao people, these terraces are often called the 8th wonder of the world. Standing before them, you can hardly believe that such vast and intricate landscapes were built entirely by hand, with simple tools and an incredible knowledge of nature. Each terrace is designed to catch water from the forests above, creating a natural irrigation system that still works perfectly today. The rice terraces are more than just farmland, they are living proof of the harmony between people and the land they depend on. Generation after generation has maintained these terraces, passing down ancient techniques, rituals, and traditions that reflect a deep respect for nature. During planting and harvest seasons, the terraces come alive with the songs, dances, and prayers of the Ifugao people, who see farming not just as work but as a sacred bond with the earth. When the sun rises and the mist lifts, the terraces glow with shades of green and gold, creating a view so majestic it feels like looking at a painting. Yet behind their beauty lies the story of resilience, hard work, and cultural pride. The Banaue Rice Terraces are not only a wonder of engineering but also a reminder that true greatness can be achieved through patience, unity, and respect for the environment. Our journey ends in Cebu City, where a small chapel houses one of the most important symbols in Philippine history, Magellan's Cross. This wooden cross, believed to have been planted in 1521 by Portuguese explorer Ferdinand Magellan, marks the beginning of Christianity in the Philippines. Though simple in appearance, it carries a weight far greater than its size, for it represents a turning point in the nation's story. When Magellan arrived, he introduced the Catholic faith, which would go on to shape the culture, traditions, and identity of the Filipino people for centuries. Inside the chapel, the cross stands under a dome painted with vibrant murals depicting the arrival of Magellan, the baptism of the first Filipino Christians, and the beginnings of a new chapter in the islands. Pilgrims and tourists come here every day, lighting candles and offering prayers, treating the site as both a historical landmark and a sacred space. For many, touching the base of the cross feels like connecting to the very roots of their faith. Magellan's Cross is more than just a relic of the past, it is a living symbol of spirituality, resilience, and cultural blending. It reminds us of how foreign influences were absorbed into local traditions, creating a faith that is uniquely Filipino. Standing before the cross, you realize that history is not only about wars and struggles but also about hope, belief, and the ties that continue to unite people across generations.